without more, I will take my seat and leave the matter to you.
Thank you. Yes, Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have listened carefully to colleagues in the chamber, and I think, in a sense, there's been an attempt to question the mandate of the Business Committee to engage in a determination that the time allotted for debate should be proportional to our numbers in the chamber. Mr. Speaker, let's look at Order 216-2B. Order 216-2B. 216-2B says that, subject to Order 67, the committee shall recommend the time allotted for debate on bills. The time allotted for debates on bills, motions, private members' bills, private members' motions, and other business. Here we are discussing a motion to thank the President for coming to this House to deliver a message on the state of the nation. So it is part of the mandate of the Business Committee to recommend the allotment of time. Mr. Speaker, let's break it down to what is in issue. What is in issue is that the Business Committee proposed that we have 5 slots, 10 slots per day, and the 10 slots, and the debate will last 4 days. So in effect, Mr. Speaker, we are looking at 40 slots in all for the debate. Okay? 40 slots in all for the debate. And we have allotted the specific time that each speaker may speak. The allotment to leadership, the allotment to chairs, and the allotment to ordinary members. Mr. Speaker, according to what my friends on the other side are proposing, we should allot 20 slots and the time allocated for those slots to their side, and also allot 20 slots and the time allocated for those 20 slots to our side. Mr. Speaker, what that means is that their side, with 88 members, will individually have a higher allocation of allotted time than this side that has 188 members. So, Mr. Speaker, what we are saying is that it is inequitable to have 188 members who constitute 68% of the House take 20 slots, and then you have 88 who are 32% of the House also taking 20 slots. It's just inequitable. It is inequitable, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, what that means is that members of this side get more opportunity, more airtime, more opportunity than members on this side. Mr. Speaker, like an ordinary member, a member indicated earlier on, because of this, the public watching us often come to a conclusion that we would govern the allocation of time or the determination of who speaks. Mr. Speaker, let's read Order 115. Order 115, and with your indulgence, Mr. Speaker, I read. It says that, subject to the discretion of the Speaker, and Order 1693B, a member who intends to speak shall rise in the member's place and address the chair while standing only and catching the eye of the speaker. Mr. Speaker, this has nothing to do with the allotment of time. This has nothing to do with the allotment of the number of speakers determined for each side. Mr. Speaker, it has always been the practice of this House that we agree on the number of speakers on both sides. We always agree. This is not the first time. At all times, we agree, okay, this side 10, this side 5, or this side 5, this side 5. We always agree. So you can't say that, to now say that the agreement should be varied equitably, then we are taking away the power of the speaker to recognize somebody standing so that he can give the person an opportunity to contribute. So, Mr. Speaker, 115 has nothing to do with this decision. Indeed, this decision is wholly governed by 216 2B. So it is obvious. Mr. Speaker, let me conclude by saying that whatever it is, let's be fair. We have a lot of new members on this side. We also have new members on this side. When we restrict the allocations the way that you are proposing, what it will happen invariably is that it means that a member on your side gets 2 opportunities when a member on this side gets only 1. And that's not fair. That's not fair. A member on your side gets 2 opportunities when a member on this side gets only 1 opportunity. That's not fair. Mr. Speaker, let me get to the subject matter. A debate on the state of the nation presented by the President. There are 2 sides. There's a side that will be seeking to disprove what the President has said, and there's a side that will be seeking to confirm what the President has said. Mr. Speaker, let me indicate that we on this side stand by our position that when it comes to government business and we are allotting time, let's allot it equitably so that we have, based on our numbers, a greater allocation of time than your side. And that is why during the committee meeting, we had our disagreements, and when according to the procedure spelled out in our standing orders, we put it to a vote. And 7 votes in favor of that proposed allocation of time, and then 4 on your side decided not to participate in the vote and asked that the record should indicate that they protested and they disagreed with the decision. But 7 of us voted in favor of the position that you have 68, that we have 68% of the time, and that you have 32% of the time, reflecting the different sizes of the I think that it would be a good idea for the relevant sector ministers to come and present the policy documents to us, but the issue is timing. Whether it should be before the budget, or it should be after the budget. I will convey the message to them. It's a good proposal. I will convey the message to them and see whether they are prepared to come before us with those policy documents before the finance minister appears, or they will incorporate it in the budget so that the finance minister will make those policy pronouncements and then proceed to present a budgetary allocation to implement those policies. The invitation of the governor is on Wednesday, and it will be at the sitting of the Committee of the Whole, and it has been provided for in the draft document that we had. But when they went to print the final document, I did not see it. So, Mr. Speaker, I think those are the issues, and that is how we have programmed next week. And so, Mr. Speaker, I urge the House to adopt the program for next week as presented by the chairman of the Business Committee. Thank you. It's a good proposal. I'll convey the message to them and see whether they are prepared to come before us with those policy documents before the finance minister appears, or they will incorporate it in the budget so that the finance minister will make those policy pronouncements and then proceed to present a budgetary allocation to implement those policies. The invitation of the governor is on Wednesday, and it will be at the sitting of the Committee of the Whole, and it has been provided for in the draft document that we had. But when they went to print the final document, I did not see it. So, Mr. Speaker, I think those are the issues, and that is how we have programmed next week. And so, Mr. Speaker, I urge the House to adopt the program for next week as presented by the chairman of the Business Committee. Thank you.
Honorable members.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to invite you to the Constitution. I want to invite you into the Constitution in Article 104. And with your permission, I read. Mr. Speaker, except as otherwise provided in the Constitution, matters in Parliament shall be determined by the votes of majority of members present and voting, with at least half of members of Parliament present. Mr. Speaker, on page 2 of the business statement, the conclusion part, it reads that the minority, however, gave the indication that they were not part of the decision and accordingly do not recognize the vote. The committee recommend the committee accordingly submit the matter for the consideration of the House. The consideration of the House implies we need a decision quorum, which is 138. I invite you, we cannot take that decision at the moment. We don't have 138 members in this chamber, and we cannot take a decision because the committee recommend for the House to adopt it. And I invite you that, Mr. Speaker, we can approve the business statement and stand down this very matter because it is for the consideration of the House. And in Article 104, we don't have 138 members present to take that decision. Mr. Speaker, I so invite you. Thank you.
Well, honorable members, I think this issue, you wouldn't allow. Yes, will you let me hear you?
Speaker, I have listened to the Honorable First Deputy Minority Chief Whip. He has read the Constitution to you. He has not conveyed anything other than that to you. The invitation has not been done. Mr. Speaker, he has not told this House how many we are. And that is it. He has not backed it with any evidence, i.e., having done the head count personally as a whip and showed the evidence. Me, I have. And we are more than 138. So, Mr. Speaker, I will invite you to disregard his submissions as if same was never done at all, and put the question, Mr. Speaker, so we can deal with this matter. Mr. Speaker, thank you.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in raising the constitutional matter, Mr. Speaker, in raising the constitutional matter, I made it clear that we are not 138, Mr. Speaker. When inviting you to the constitutional provisions, I told you that we are not 138. On this side, they are 40. On this side, they are 28. On this side, they are 17. We are less than 100, Mr. Speaker. We are not 138. So for that matter, I invite you to stand on the matter because we don't have a decision-making quorum to continue with that matter, Mr. Speaker. We can approve other part of the business statement, but that matter that was invited, the committee invited the House for its consideration on that particular matter. The committee invited us, and we are not 138, and based on Article 104, we cannot continue, Mr. Speaker. I invite you to do the right thing. Mr. Speaker, as a lawyer as you are, you should do the right thing and respect the Constitution in the provisions in Article 104. I so invite you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I was at the business committee meeting. Mr. Speaker, what happened at the committee meeting was that when the matter came up, we argued and argued and argued, same way that we're arguing in the chamber, and there was no consensus. So I referred them to the appropriate orders 2842 and said, if you cannot come to a consensus, which is what the rules say, that you should decide by consensus. If you cannot come to a consensus, then you will have to put it to a vote. And the chairman, Honorable Ricketts, he was chairing. I was there. I'm the chairman, but I was not chairing. But he was chairing. He put it to a vote. A voice vote first. A voice vote first. Then there was some disagreement. We said, let's do head count. They said they didn't want their heads to be counted. They didn't want their heads to be counted. So I even encouraged them to cover their heads so that we'll count the other available heads. On a lighter note, Mr. Speaker, we joked about it. So we counted. And the majority side were 7. And then they said they wanted it recorded, that they protested. To say you want something recorded, that you are protesting against it, that you don't recognize it, doesn't mean that a vote was not taken. It also doesn't mean that you didn't lose the vote. Because the rules are clear that you put the matter to a vote. You either win or you lose, or you abstain. You didn't want to abstain, also didn't want your head to be counted. So how are we to go about it? So we said they should count those who were voting for it. So they counted, and 7 voted for. And there were 4. So we assume that naturally the 4 were either abstaining or voting against. So the matter could not have been referred to this House to take a decision. There's no way that the matter was referred to this House to take a decision. No matter what the secretary wrote there, because of this same matter, we said the secretary should tell us exactly what our conclusions were at the meeting. Because we didn't want a situation where we will get to the chamber and there will be a dispute as to what had actually happened. So the secretary then indicated to us in their presence the conclusion that there was a vote, and the vote was 7 in favor of, and we didn't know whether the 4 were abstaining or they were voting against, but that they wanted to record it that they were against the position that we had taken. And that was it. There was no decision there that the matter was being referred to the House to decide. It can be amended. So, Mr. Speaker, that provision is hereby amended. Yes. Because there was no decision. And there are members who were there. If they are in this room, unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, in order to raise a question of quorum, I noticed people walking out in droves. And so those who were members are no longer in the chamber to confirm exactly what happened. But Mr. Speaker, that was what happened at the committee meeting. So the matter wasn't referred to this House to take a decision. So it is amended. And if there is a dispute, the clerk should be invited here to come and confirm whether what I'm saying is true or not. That was exactly what happened. No referral was made to this House, Mr. Speaker. No referral was made to this House. So it is hereby amended to that effect.
We've taken some time on this.
The same way, Mr. Speaker, that the Bank of Ghana component of our conclusions was also omitted. If you read what you have, the Bank of Ghana decision to invite the Bank of Ghana here on Wednesday was also omitted. And yet, if you ask them, they will tell you that they took that decision. So that's why I had to subsequently, amend the report to incorporate that. So I hereby amend the report to also delete any indication that the matter was referred to this House to take a decision.
Mr. Speaker, my suggestion to you is that this very matter be referred to the Right Honourable Speaker for further discussion with leadership, because, Mr. Speaker, it is going to set a certain new precedent. And you are a member of this House, and you are as a second Deputy Speaker. I suggest that let's go and discuss this matter with the Right Honourable Speaker, and then we can make progress. If he, as the head of this assembly, finally exercises the discretion that whatever is being said by the majority should be the new practice, then we have it on record.
Anybody to do that on his behalf.
Practice. Then we have it on record, and then we are
anybody to do that on his behalf. The Speaker insisted that there are so many means a member can be heard. There are so many means a member who is desirous to be heard that is indeed doing work in the chamber can be done. It can be done through questions, as this morning I was in a way trying to invite my members from the majority to ask questions. They can come through statements, they can come through motions, and all these are ways that members who are desirous to make industry in the chamber can do. When it comes to contributions and comes to debate, normally the practice of the House, and by extension to other So, honorable members, what I'm saying, I'm not changing anything. I personally would like to go by the status quo, but the business committee has taken a decision. I think what the minority leader is saying is to refer to the Speaker again. I think is in order. But honorable members, please allow me to finish. Honorable members, I think to allow anybody to speak rests with the speaker per standing orders 115. So whether I will be here or my brother or the speaker himself, he will be guided by it. And I think as to whether you allow members here to speak more or it will depend on the speaker. So please, I think we don't need to split our heads over this. I've heard majority on equitable point of view. I think I share with you, but the standard and the practice over the house is that one speak here, and that's why members, honorable members, that is why, honorable members, that is why in the second parliament, 166 against 134, that issue was not raised. That is why in the seventh parliament, 169 against that was not raised. I think let's maintain it. But if whatever it is, honorable members, whatever it is, the business proposal that has been discussed is hereby adopted.
Mr. Speaker,
I have adopted your business statement, so it's okay. Yes. Honorable member, whatever yes. I said for me. The business statement has been adopted.
Yes.
I was just speaking for
let me just say
the
something.
way
yes. Let me just say something. Yes. So, Mr. Speaker, for the avoidance of doubt, the media is covering. For the avoidance of doubt, the business statement is what has been adopted. And the business statement says that the allocation of time for the debate on the message on the State of the Nation motion, it shall be 63% here and 32% here. That's what it says. That's what it says. Okay.
Mr. Speaker, 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 we are guided. You guide us in this house, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I think you guide us in this house. Mr. Speaker, I don't want to say what the minority leader said. He has recorded. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, let's close the chapter.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, you heard the majority leader, and Mr. Speaker, what I'm simply trying to put across is that you have guided us, and you said the speaker here means the leader of the institution parliament, that Mr. Speaker have said, and you were present, to the effect that one here, and that is what is stand. Whatever is contained in here was not what the speaker said. In order 115, when a member time to speak, lie on the speaker. So the majority leader assertion of his time allocation 68 to 32 is not approved. It's not there. It's not approved.
Honorable,
the speaker said one here, so it's not approved.
Honorable members, the presentation by the majority leader was to the effect that whatever decision that was taken at the business committee was not to be brought to the chamber for us to take a decision on. I mean, it has been presented. Members have raised issues. Personally, I have also raised my own issues. And whatever it is, the business statement ought to be adopted. So we've adapted it with all. But like I said, if I am presiding or my member is presiding, per our standing orders 115, the person must catch the speaker's eye. Of course, I also encourage leadership because this has a far-reaching consequence. And therefore, I encourage leadership to meet and take decision on this. Even after the discussion of the honorable members, even after the discussion of the president's message, I think we need to holistically take a decision on this. So that is my discussion. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I beg you. We speak not just to ourselves in this chamber, we speak to a nation. There's a whole country watching us, a whole world watching us. Boko is in the world. Mr. Speaker, what happened today is that we brought the report of the business committee to be adopted. One of the items in the report is how we allot time for the debate on the motion on the state of the nation next week. And we have specific recommendations. It was disputed at the committee meeting, but we voted on it. And so it is part of the report. It has been disputed here, comments made, and etc. You yourself have expressed your reservations, but in the end, you put the vote, the question to us to vote and adopt it, and we have voted and we have adopted the report. So the report as adopted, the report as adopted. My understanding, Mr. Speaker, is very important because the journalists are going to report it in the news today. My understanding is that the decision of the House is that 68% of the time is allocated to the majority and 32% of the time allocated to the minority. That's the decision of the House. That's the decision. Mr. Speaker, I want the media to convey this because this is the decision. Mr. Speaker, the Speaker has made some comments. He has made some comments. And his comments are that, in his opinion, the allocation of time is governed by Order 115. That's what I heard the Speaker saying. To catch the Speaker's eye. But Mr. Speaker, you know that when we are debating the budget, when we are debating the State of the Nation address, it is not the person who rises that catches your eye. We normally write down the names on a list of paper and give it to you, and then you call them according to the name that we have given you and the times agreed. So it's not a question of who catches your eye. It is how many we have given you and who we have given you, and how many they have given you and who they have given you, that you call. And that is what is going to govern the debate next week. So next week, we will give you 68% of the names, and they'll give you 32% of the names. And that's what you will call. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Majority Leader, with regards to the names, can you educate me with regards to the names? Because all these are more or less conventions we have adopted. They are all conventions we've adopted. So specifically, if you are talking of handing over names to the Speaker, if you can educate me on, so that, because I thought it's a standard, it's a convention that we all adapt. So if you want to help me, then help me well, so that I know per these standing orders, leadership can hand names to the Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I have been in this chamber for close to 2 decades. Mr. Speaker, you always agree on the numbers for each side, and based on that agreement, the sides will give you the names of the members.
Yes.
Is that okay? So we are agreeing on the numbers. Mr. Speaker, because there was no consensus, so we voted and used our numbers, and so we have concluded that you are taking 32% of the numbers and we are taking 68% of the numbers. This is straightforward. I don't see why we are debating this. And this has been concluded by the committee. And you have put the question on the report. It has been adopted. The only issue I have, Mr. Speaker, is when this House has taken a decision, and after the House has taken a decision, you are running commentary that appears to undermine the decision of the House. And that confuses the public. That's why I want clarity. That's why I keep repeating myself that this, so far as I am concerned, is the decision of the House. The House has adopted the report.
Honorable leadership, thank you. I think let's bring this to a close. I don't want to talk about it. I said probably leadership will have to take, because it has a far-reaching consequence. Leadership, any indication?
Speaker, considering that we just adopted business statement and the questions slotted for today have all been taken, we are in your hands. It's past 2 o'clock. We are ready to be adjourned. In any case, we have orientation starting tonight. Thank you. Orientation, so, Speaker, I want to urge our colleagues to join us for the orientation. It is important. The orientation will cure some of these matters that they are debating. So we are encouraging them to join us in 6 p.m. tonight. Speaker, thank you.
Majority Leader, will you put a motion? We've not spent. Okay.
Speaker, I move that the House be adjourned. I thank you.
Leader, say what by seconding, say whatever you want to say.
Speaker, I will not second the motion now, just to make a comment. My whip earlier made a call to us that we should join in terms of resource person to come and make presentation to us.